Good afternoon, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with a Hurricane Matthew update, 1:36 p.m. that I'm recording this Eastern Time on the second day of October 2016. Here is a look at Matthew from a structural perspective a few hours ago, but I wanted to show you this very well-defined eye wall right here, and then a secondary wind maxima trying to develop on the east side. Just showing you that basically this is kind of like an x-ray showing you the bones of the system. It's a good way to look at it. You know, I show you the vorticity signature often, but this particular pass of the satellite allows us to look at a much different perspective, showing you a lot more. And this really helps to define where the different areas of the best organization are within a tropical cyclone. And you can see that the hurricane force winds are probably confined just around this area, maybe extending outwards, but I would say that it's probably a very small area where the strongest winds are located. But this also shows us, as I mentioned, that maybe this is a secondary eye wall trying to develop that will eventually contract inward and begin a new cycle, and then it starts to intensify again as it moves generally in this direction up here, and certainly that is not good news. Now, this is the very latest satellite view, the loop of the visible spectrum, and you can tell that it is very well defined. Look at that right there, that little central dense overcast. Oh man, it's just incredible. It's too bad when these hit land that they are so destructive and they take lives, because this is truly a marvel of Mother Nature and what the Earth's weather can do. And it's just a shame that this is going to be devastating, primarily from rainfall, especially in this area, and certainly some impacts in Jamaica and then up towards Cuba. Speaking of the track, this is the 11 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Just wanted to go over this again. They keep it just, when I say it, every time I say it, it is the center of the hurricane, the eye, and in fact, the middle of the eye at that. So they take it just to the west of the tip of Haiti there, and then over extreme eastern Cuba, and then into the Bahamas, and up towards, you guessed it, the southeast United States, which we will address in just a moment. First of all, this is a great product issued by the Weather Prediction Center, the Tropical Desk Perspective, and look at some of these rainfall projections for the Greater Antilles down here. First of all, in Jamaica, there's Kingston tucked in there on the southeast side. So parts of Jamaica here could see anywhere from 8 to 12 inches and above. Parts of the Haitian Peninsula here, just incredible rainfall amounts exceeding 30 inches, and then a good deal of the rest of Hispaniola also getting in on very heavy rainfall. But millions of people live along this peninsula here, and there are some 5,000 foot plus mountain ranges and what we call orographic lifting. You can imagine that deep tropical moisture flowing in counterclockwise around the circulation of Matthew as it goes by, slamming up against these mountains, wringing out that moisture. It gets lifted, and I'm talking about some substantial lift in the lower atmosphere because of that strong circulation from Matthew, and it's just going to wring out that rainfall. Very bad situation, and that's also going to be the case for these mountains in the southeast part of Cuba. So the rain is going to be the story here, along with storm surge in some of these areas along the south coast of Cuba, and probably over here along the peninsula in Haiti as well. So water is going to be the killer, not the wind in this situation. Yes, the wind is a problem, but as we have seen many times, it's the water from either too much rainfall, freshwater flooding, or storm surge. So people, I hope they're doing what they can to inform the masses down here as to what is coming. Another perspective of the upper ocean heat content. This was updated just yesterday, so it's very current. High ocean heat content values in the path of Matthew, very high in the Bahamas as well. And then this is not too shabby either. You know, you look at this and it's in the, towards the bottom half, but it's not down here near zero, like over here in the Atlantic, for example, out in the open Atlantic. And this over here will start to come to play over the next few days as Matthew moves along. So some different products coming out from the overnight model runs. This is from WSI, Weather Services International, and this is the calibrated GFS ensemble package hurricane risk. And basically, you see anywhere within this green shading here, we are looking at 50% or higher chance of hurricane impacts over the next several days, based on the latest information from the GFS and its ensemble members. So we need to really be watching this as it gets out of the Caribbean through the Bahamas, a very high risk, obviously. And it's just, the next few days will absolutely define this hurricane season. I know that is an obvious statement, and I just can't put enough emphasis on it. I mean, either this goes down as being a major hit on millions of people, and I don't want to overhype it, but I mean, you think about all the people that are going to be affected down here first, and there are literally almost 2 million people that live on the Haitian Peninsula, just talking about Haiti alone. Southeast Cuba, densely populated enough, right? The Bahamas. Certainly not millions of people in the Bahamas, but you get the idea. And then if it were to run up the East Coast, just as an example here, I mean, come on, you know, that's going to be incredible, and not in a good way. I don't want to ever sound like that I'm excited about this in a good way. You can be excited about something when it's dangerous. It's inherently, you know, if an elephant were to just burst into my office all of a sudden, I think that would be pretty exciting, but not in a good way. You get where I'm coming from on this. So another look at the model perspectives, again, from the overnight and early morning hours, kind of painting the picture that, yep, there's somewhat of a threat here for the East Coast. Even some of the guidance suggesting up here into Maine, this is the GFS ensemble mean, the average. So, you know, once this gets out of the Caribbean, we really start to have to pay attention, certainly for the Bahamas, and it's different steps, basically. This is going to be step 1. The Bahamas will be step 2. And then up here, instead of drawing step 3, I'll draw a big old question mark because we just don't know as of yet. So the very fact that this will be passing over warm water, we looked at the upper ocean heat content. This is the actual water temperatures updated yesterday. The sea surface, 28 degrees Celsius. There's even a little island of 29 Celsius. How warm is that? We're talking about low 80s, very warm water, the Gulf Stream in here. It's just not a good setup, and the rainfall alone could be very problematic if this comes into the mid-Atlantic states. Getting a little bit ahead of myself, certainly. That's still 5 to 6 days away, but we're starting to close that window a little bit of time. And so the confidence will creep up little by little every 12 to 24 hours. My advice for you folks here in the Carolinas and then further north, you know, just start thinking about it. Yeah, how long has it been since I've fired up that generator? You know, do I have the necessary supplies if I need them? What will my business do over the next few days if I have to shut down for a hurricane? This is the time to start looking at those important questions and others, and just kind of, you know, leave a little time for it. Don't worry. Don't let this stress you. I know that's easy for me to say, but you worry about something because you don't understand it. I say that often in my public talks. And so let's try to figure all of this out together. Use me as a source, other sources out there that you trust as well, and we make sense of everything and try to understand the impact. Because at the end of the day, and that's why our app is called Hurricane Impact, the tracking is great, but the impact is what everybody is concerned about in the end game. And so we want to make sure we keep our heads cool and prepare accordingly if need be, right? So let's take a look at the GFS, the 12Z run. As many of you know, the 0Z run brought it up and then turned it out pretty sharp, and the 6Z run brings it up across the mid-Atlantic states easily. So what's the 12Z run of the GFS show? Well, let's run it. By the way, this is the 500 millibar level. This is our ridge that we hear a lot of people talk about. There it is, nice and thick here right over Bermuda. Is that the Bermuda high? You bet it is. There it is. And here's the lower heights. These are lower pressures in the atmosphere over here, the trough. And then here's Matthew still down in the Caribbean Sea. So let me hit play and watch what happens. So Matthew starts moving north more and more. A little bit of a jog to the west there. It's going to wobble back and forth. There it was to the east a little bit. Very close, if not right over Haiti, and then extreme southeast Cuba. Finally into the Bahamas and up through the Bahama chain, which is just not good at all. And at day 5, it ends. And you can see that ridge trying to build over the top of it there at 120 hours out. Very, very solid ridging here. If this is even stronger over the top, then this will come in right up the east coast. It could slow down and trap it as well, which would be a whole other ball game. So what I think it's going to come down to, and let me just back up a couple of frames. I want to show you when that ridge is more firmly in place. There it is. The more we see this, the 588 height line, building in and staying over the mid-Atlantic states, the more opportunity this has to come up and hit land. If it becomes well established over here, it could come up and block the system and even send it west towards South Carolina. That is a possibility. We're talking about 5 days plus, and if I go to that last frame, there's 5 days. This would be some energy that's coming in from the Midwest to maybe try to boot this out. But if this comes up and over and leaves this behind, we could be dealing with Matthew for another 5 to 10 days. Well, I know it'll be 5, but I tell you. So that's what I know for today. The impacts down in the Caribbean are going to be substantial, and I'm going to say it one more time. You think about rainfall as being, oh, it's nice and rainy outside. That's good sleeping weather. Yeah, that might be true in November, in the fall and the pitter-patter of the rain on the leaves. But water made the Grand Canyon, for goodness sakes. Now, it took a while, but if it can do that, imagine what it can do when 40 inches of it falls in 24 hours. It's not good, and we have seen the outcome in the past, especially in the Caribbean. So certainly we will be hoping for the best for folks down there, and perhaps we will get lucky, but you know what? It doesn't look good, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. That much rainfall for that many people, I hate it. But hopefully the relief process will go smoothly and suffering will not linger. So we'll worry about that part later and see what the news tells us. Still have a day or so before this really starts to get important for them down there. Have a good rest of your afternoon. I will be doing some other updates throughout the day. Probably one this early evening, a video blog that is. And then, of course, continuing coverage throughout the week ahead. We do have, I forgot to mention, got to make sure I do my duty here. We do have our app, and some people have asked about that. It's called Hurricane Impact, and it's more about the information than the tracking. Hurricane Pro, Hurricane HD from Kitty Code. They're a partner of ours. I work with them. It's not my app, but I do work with them. I think that's the best tracking app out there overall, and so that's a great one for actually tracking and other tools. But when it comes to hitting land, I'll stand by my app as the best one for what's happening on the ground. Now, we're not there yet. I'm not in Cuba. I'm not in Haiti, so I'm not going to be able to put data or videos from the hurricane in the app at this point. But if this hits the United States, you will never have seen anything like what you will see in our app when it makes landfall. Wind data, on-the-ground video, live video links in there. It's just going to be incredible. But along the way, yes, I do post all of these updates to the app. Everything Hurricane Track goes into Hurricane Impact, and it's available on the App Store and Google Play. A lot of people asking me about it, and that name, Hurricane Impact, I'm hoping to let that trend on Twitter one day. That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? And get that information out to a lot more people. Follow us on Twitter as well, at Hurricane Track, and if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe for future updates. Hey, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I do appreciate your time and attention, and the feedback has been fantastic. I love it. So please keep feeding back, commenting, and I'll do the best I can to answer you. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, and I'll have another video for you later today.